Okay, I'm back again. It's me again. Now here's the real video. This is the fun part. Okay, good. I've still got a few minutes. When Judge Judy comes on, you're gonna lose me. She helped me. She and some of the other judges in the world, they helped me through some stuff later. I'm not ready to open up about everything. Um. Anyway, the school thing. So in my cracking code book, I mentioned. Which, by the way, it's actually supposed to be cracking the brain code. I need to fix that. But in the book, I mentioned something about loans, school loans. I'll try and just be quick about this. Okay, that's about me. Ta-da! So I was going to school. I had children. I had young children at the time, and sorry, it's a little tough. I was going to school to be a doctor, so then I could be, Dr. Tealeaves. There's actually a joke behind that, and I might get brave enough to share that in this video. I'm not sure. But anyway, I wanted to become a doctor, or someone in that field. The mind. It always. From the time I was little, I would tell my parents, I know why that person did what they did. I couldn't actually tell you why. That was a weird thing. My brain told me it knew why. I couldn't actually tell you why, like out loud. Now I can, but I couldn't then. Anyway, so the brain always made sense to me. There was one thing I couldn't get depressed about. I could get depressed about my weight, my looks, my life, my everything. But the moment I said, and I don't know what I'm talking about mentally, or talking about, I'll never understand them all. And I couldn't finish those words. I couldn't. My brain said, shut up. That's not true. You can get mad about all the rest of that stuff, but that's one. Anyway, going off my tangent. So I was in school to be a doctor. I was homeschooled, so the first pretty much year and a half that I went to school, for the 2 years that I went to school, I think it was 2 years, it was a technical school. It was spent doing, like, I guess, the high school stuff, the initial classes, the English, the math. I did take some extra classes, but anyway, but it comes to psychology, I only took Intro to Psych 1 and 2. I remember the classical conditioning thing, the ring the bell, and I remember self-fulfilling prophecies. I think there's a reason why I remember that, and maybe you remind me one day, and I'll remember to put the video up about why I remember that one. But I don't really remember too much else, at least not consciously. Maybe subconsciously I do. I took a couple other psych courses. I think adolescent intro, and then abnormal intro, and that was it, or something like that. Not a whole lot. Pretty much everything I know, psychologically speaking, you could put in a thimble. It's either over the years, what I've heard off and on from TV, from shows where they said, this is what this disorder is, and this is what it means, or something, little things that you kind of retain. Other than that, not so much. So when anybody ever tries to talk to me in that speak, I'm like, what is that? Yeah. Anyway, so like I said, I was going to school, and years ago when I was in school, like a regular school, I did not do well. The numbers changed on me. I think I know why that happened now. I'm wondering if it has something to do with what happens to other people who are dyslexic. It's actually something I'm thinking that's a little bit different in the brain, but I don't really know enough about dyslexia to say for sure. But I'm thinking something very similar might have been happening. I'm not going to go into that at the moment, though. Anyway, I didn't do well in school. I was bullied, and and just not doing well. I was a dreamer. Well, Miss So and So, your kids are they're real sweet, real creative kids. They just don't do anything. Yeah, I was the one who rode a horse to school. I didn't ride a horse to school. Another story. Anyway, I should make a video, if nothing else, for Miss Miller, because she influenced me a little bit that way. Anyway, so I was on the dean's list though. You know, the high standing in the school, doing the schoolwork and everything. College was I could do college. That was awesome. I was doing really good. I was a single parent and raising my kids on my own. And then of course, when I say that, and I'm sharing this with you for a reason, and you'll see in a few minutes why. I lived with my parents, with my family, my brothers and my sisters, my parents, and I brought my kids were with me, and so I wasn't technically raising them on my own. But you see, in the brain, it takes two to make the children, right? Right. So it's two people who are supposed to be responsible. So when one is missing, now that person is on their own, raising the children on their own. Get it? Got it. Good. So I was doing that, and I can't go into well, actually, the one son said I can go into his stuff, but I'll just lightly. He had some mental stuff. He had ADHD, and I didn't understand it, and I didn't take the time to understand it, and I was not a very nice parent. I might have to talk about that particular part later because I'm not sure if I will be able to make it through that one right now because that haunts me. I was so good with everybody else's kids, but not my own. I can tell you why that happens actually, but another time. Anyway, I wasn't a nice parent, but I was trying to go to school, and I was going to school full time and living off the money that the loans gave to me because like everybody, I just was like, oh yay, someone's going to help me go to school, I'm going to get grants and loans, and then just signed on the dotted line. I didn't read the fine print. It's true, but hey, who does, right? Especially when the fine print is that thick of a book. You print it out, it's like that thick of a book. Are you kidding me? No one's going to read that. I think they do it on purpose, actually. Yeah, because no one's going to read it. They know it, and then they can catch you. I'm kidding. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Anyway. So, going to school, doing good. And then, I had bills to pay. And I thought, well, I could get I needed a part-time job. No, I'm sorry, I had a part-time job. And I was also going to school full-time. But I had bills to pay. And, I needed to work more. My kids needed things, so I needed to work more. And so I started working more. Started going to school full-time. Or working full-time. And going to school full-time. And I know there's some parents out there, and boy, I commend you. You up and down. You work, and you go to school, and you take care of your kids. And it's hard and it's difficult, but you do it. I couldn't do it. I was getting calls about my son and his school, from his school almost every day. I didn't handle it well. I was mean. I didn't get depressed and detach. I got mean. It wasn't my fault. I kept telling myself in my own brain it wasn't my fault. although it was. I could have taken the time to maybe read and understand what he was going through more. But I didn't have time. I was going to school full time. I was working full time. I just couldn't do all three. And it caught up with me, basically. I it I got to a point where I had to start picking a class to fail in order to keep my loans going. I was required to have so many credit hours, which meant I had to sign up for like 3 or 4 classes depending upon how many credit hours they each offered every term or whatever semester. So I had to on purpose pick a class that I would fail. I didn't like doing it. Hated it. But it was the only way to keep going. So I did that for the first few classes or so. I tried to hang in there, but then it got, things would just get to be too much. It just was. I was on the dean's list for a reason. I was really trying hard to go to school. Not because it's pretty, but for a reason, for a career, to make more money, so you can offer your family better things, so that you can make things better than what, I can't say better than what my childhood was, because I actually had a good childhood in that sense. But that's what a lot of people say. I give my children a better childhood than I had. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I made a lot of mistakes, but I was trying to make up for them, and I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. I juggled it all. No matter how much it weighed, I kept juggling it. And it just got to be too much. My son was getting worse. And I was getting more and more. I started to over-functionalize in ways I shouldn't have been. Over-focusing, overdoing, which then caused my emotional side to be all like out of whack. It got to a point where I decided that instead of using the loans to go to school, that if I could just drop down to a couple classes, then I'd be okay. So I thought, well, all right, then I'll just start paying for school myself, and that's what I started to do, was to go to the class, to take 2 classes instead of 3 or 4. Take what I could do. It's the responsible decision to make, right? So I stopped using the loans. I was still a student, but I stopped using the loans. Fine print, remember that? Started paying for the 2 classes I was taking. Going to school still, going to work still. Good parent? Not a very good parent. That one I was yeah. But I was doing the best I could, as they say. I had a letter. It said I had to start paying back the loans. And I just couldn't. And it's not that, truly, deep down inside, it's not that I couldn't have started to even pay $5 or $10 a month towards it. they had this thing called forbearance. So I just kept doing a forbearance. And I could have been putting money aside or paying a little bit at a time or whatever. But I didn't. I felt cheated. I had done everything that a person could. I did everything I could. I was trying the best I could. Because I wasn't able to do it all, I now could do nothing. I dropped out of school completely after that. I just worked. And I was angry. I won't go into all that because that's beyond the school story, but you see why that can happen in the brain. Because it's not my fault. Right? It's not my fault. It took two to have those kids. So why was I by myself? Or at least in my mind, by myself. I was doing what they told me to do. Going to work. Going to school. I was doing everything they told me to do. I was doing everything right. So why was it wrong? And even though the school and the school or the loan company are two different entities, so you can't hold one accountable for the other's actions, kind of thing. In the brain, sometimes we just look at things as one. School and school loan become the same thing. And in my mind, like, the whole point of going to school was to become a doctor. So I could help people. I could help my family have a better life, and I could help other people out there. But the equals isn't right. I went to school to become a doctor equals I become a doctor. Right? That's how that works. Nope. And whose fault is that? I was doing everything right. I can blame that on, a lot of other things other than myself. And I had to be able to keep moving forward, to keep at least working and taking care of my kids to whatever extent I was actually taking care of them at that point. I had detached a lot from them. It didn't make sense. I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was doing what they told me to do. I just kept putting forbearance on it. So finally I just stopped. I'm not a doctor, so why should I pay you for turning me into a doctor when you didn't turn me into a doctor? That's how that happens. It's backwards thinking, I get it. Sometimes the brain has to do that. Our brains are very, very strong, very resilient. They're also very fragile. But they'll fight. And like I said, they'll use what if and what is reasoning. Whatever it has to do. Or I'm sorry, I should reverse that. They'll use the facts of the situation. They'll use the what is reasoning. I was single parent, and that's tough for a single parent, right? That's what is, right? And then it'll use the what if reason too. What if I could say I'm not the one responsible? There are other people that are kind of responsible in the situation. What if I could say it was actually their fault? even though I'm more at fault here, they were involved. So now my brain can say they're part of that failure. And then it can actually act backwards and say they are the reason for the failure. The school, because it failed. It breached the contract. The contract was for you to turn me into a doctor. I am not a doctor. I don't owe you money then. Anyway, I feel like I'm just going to keep repeating the same stuff over and over again, and bore me. And Judge Judy's going to be coming on, so personal tea hour is over. Actually, I will share one last thing. It's always an inside joke. Because people used to joke around that I would be doctor one day. Family, friends. Because they all knew that's where I was headed. They all knew I knew what So they used to say, doctor, and then my name. And I would say, no, not yet. Soon, not yet. For now, I'm just Jen. I've said it. There, I said it. Sometimes I wish I was on live so I couldn't even argue with myself about having to say, nope, I'm not going to publish that. Nope, 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 mm-mm. Just, nope, not going to publish it. I wouldn't even have the option. It's out there. There's times I make these videos and I don't publish them because I can't. There's something in our brain that wants to protect us. It's a part of its job is to do things to protect us, even if it's to work backwards, like a overprotective parent. Oftentimes they overdo it, thinking that they're helping and really they're hindering and hurting. Well, the brain does the same thing. How do you think we know how to become parents? Because it's instinctual. Well, the brain is trying to be a parent to a parent and a child. We have an inner child. I'm sure we have an inner parent too, right? Well, the brain is trying to be a parent to us. Oh, you're hurt. Well, let's protect you. Let's pull you into that fetal position. No, don't. We're not going to publish that. You said the words out loud. That's great. That's fine. We're not going to share with the world, though. No, we got to protect you. I can't be protected anymore. I'm not Dr. Jen. I'm just Jen. That's my title.